Good morning, dear Professor. My name is Fanji Wei. Today I will present an analysis of business environment with a focus on palm oil industry. This presentation is designed to help us understand how key economic factors influence our organization and how we can respond strategically in changing environment. In particular, I will discuss microeconomic conditions, government policy, trade and jobs, and behavioral economics. Throughout the presentation, I will highlight what these factors mean for our organization and our long-term decision making. Let's begin with the macroeconomic environment. There are three key indicators we need to consider. First is GDP, inflation, and unemployment. GDP reflects the overall economic growth of a country. When GDP increases, it usually indicates higher income levels and stronger demand in economy. Inflation measures the rate at which prices increase. Rising inflation means that production costs, such as wages and raw materials, become more expensive. Unemployment shows the condition of labor market. Low unemployment may indicate a strong economy, but it can also lead to labor shortages. From a business perspective, these indicators directly affect our operations. For example, rising inflation increases our production costs, especially labor-intensive industry like palm oil. At the same time, economic growth increases global demand for palm oil products, which can boost revenue. However, low employment may make it more difficult and expensive to hire workers. This means for our organization, we must closely monitor macroeconomic trends to manage costs, forecast demand, and make informed production decisions. Next, we examine government policy. Specifically price floor intervention. A price floor is when the government sets a minimum price above the market equilibrium. As shown in the model, this leads to an increase in price, which encourages producers to supply more, while consumers demand less. This creates a surplus in market. For a business perspective, this policy has both advantages and disadvantages. On the other hand, it provides income stability for producers, which is particularly important in industries with volatile prices like palm oil. It also reduces revenue uncertainty and encourages long-term investment in the industry. On the other hand, it creates market inefficiency and deadweight loss. Main resources are not allocated optimally. This means for our organization, we must balance the benefits of stability with the cost of inefficiency when evaluating government interventions. Now let's move on to jobs and international trade. Jobs are taxes imposed on import goods. Using a supply and demand model, jobs increases prices in the domestic market, reduce imports, and decrease the total quantity traded. This has different effects on the different group. Domestic producers benefit because they face less competition from foreign firms. However, Consumers face higher prices and exporters may lose access to international markets. In addition, tariffs can create inefficiencies and reduce economic welfare. This shows that trade policies create both winners and losers, and their impact is often uneven across the economy. Slide 5 is about business impact of trade policies. From our organization's perspective, trade policies create several important challenges. First is tariffs increases export uncertainty, especially in global markets where policies can change quickly. Second, they lead to revenue volatility. As demand and prices become less predictable. Third, they disrupt supply chains, making it more difficult to manage production and distribution efficiently. To respond to these challenges, we need to adopt effective strategies. For example, we can diversify our export markets to reduce dependence on a single region. We can also build more flexible supply chains to improve resilience. This means our organization must adapt to global trade risks and remain flexible in a highly uncertain international environment. Next, we consider insights from behavioral economics. Traditional economics theory assumes that people make rational decisions. However, in reality, decision-making is often influenced by psychological factors. One important concept is bound rationality. This means individuals make decisions with limited information, limited time, and limited cognitive ability. As a result, decisions are not always optimal. Another key concept is loss aversion. This means people feel losses more strongly than gains of same value. For example, consumers may avoid taking risks even when potential benefits are high. From a business perspective, these insights are very useful. Understanding behavioral biases can help us design better pricing strategy, influence consumer behavior, and improve risk management. This means our organization can use behavioral insights to make better decisions and gain competitive advantages. Slide 7 is about strategy implication. Overall, the business environment is becoming more complex and uncertain. Microeconomic conditions affect cost and demand. Government policy influence market stability. Trade dynamics create risks and opportunities. To succeed in this environment, our organization must take a proactive approach. We need to monitor external conditions closely, adapt our strategies quickly, and maintain flexibility in our operations. So, in conclusion, economic forces play a key role in shaping business performance. Government policies and global trade can create both opportunities and challenges. At the same time, behavioral factors influence how decisions are made in the market. To remain competitive, firms must respond proactively to these external changes and make informed strategic decisions. Thank you for listening.